we just got to do it. Obviously, I just felt, and I don't know if it changed once I left, but you just didn't play very inspired baseball to come out of the gate. Really just didn't have great stuff. Up in the zone a lot. Got behind, couldn't win the big counts, but was just really up. Got hammered when he was, and just a sinker baller with belt high fastballs. This isn't going to work. Looked great. Stuff was crisp, I thought, like in terms of velo and all that kind of stuff. So it just was command and whatnot. And again, I just thought the rest of the team was really inspired. I don't know if it was the home run, the 3-run homer that they just punched us in the mouth, and we just didn't handle it very well. But obviously, the rest of the time that I was around, it just seemed uninspired, like we were just going through the motions. And we talked about it, that great teams show up every day no matter what. Don't care about the weather, don't care about the umpires, they don't care about the team who we're playing, don't care about what time of day, what the weather is like, what part of the year it is, first part of the year, end of the year. Great teams just show up and compete, and they don't care about anything else. They just love competing. They love showing the world what type of team we are. And again, for a scout that's never seen you play, for a fan that's never seen you play, just for somebody that's here for the first time. I mean, the greatest players and the greatest teams show up every day because they never know who's going to be here, and it doesn't matter. They can play in front of no fans. No fans are 10,000 fans. You play because you love the game and you want to compete and win. Yesterday I thought we did that. Today I didn't get that feeling when I was here that was important. And that, again, I don't know if it was the home run that just kind of stunned us and we couldn't get out of it. And just couldn't score any runs, and maybe if we'd scored some runs, again, I don't know when we did score those two, if it changed, but you can't ride this roller coaster. You put yourself in a situation where you come out uninspired and you lose, in the tournament and your season's over. And so we got to do a much better job of finding a way to show up every single day, no matter what. Yeah, I mean, you got to slide. And there's two different types of rules. There's the slide rule, and then there's a malicious slide rule. So I thought that although I didn't think it was malicious, I didn't think he tried to make contact, which would have forced an ejection, but not sliding and making contact with a catcher is an automatic out whether he catches the ball or not. So they told me that they deemed it wasn't malicious, and I said that's fine, but he still should be out because that's what the rule says. Can't make contact with the catcher, can't instigate contact. So obviously they had a different look at it than they thought that I did. So that was the crux, and I'm just trying to protect my guys. I'm not a big umpire argue guy. If you've watched me the last 2 years, I don't go out and argue very much. But when my player safety is on the line, then I go out and make sure that somebody's protecting them. Yeah, there's been a lot in the last 2 seasons, last year and then this year, of rewording it and sending out part of our umpire video that we all have to watch before the season. This is a big point of emphasis. So we'll see. I'm sure there'll be video passed on to the bosses and see what they say. Again, just the fact that they didn't take Dallas's well-being into. I mean, that rule is there to protect catchers and to make sure that nobody gets hurt, that there's no concussions, that there's nobody gets injured and is out for the year for a thing that is avoidable. And so the rule states you have to make every attempt to not make contact with the catcher. And if it's unavoidable, that's a different situation. The umpire has that option to say that. But he pretty much gave up. Like, I'm not going to slide because I'm out, and just ran through the play and obviously knocked Beaver over and knocked the ball out. Which again, I just thought was what the rule was designed for. So that was my argument. But again, it didn't seem that they, and I can't allow, my players to be put in situations where they're going to get hurt. So that's what I just told them that their job was to protect the rule was to protect the guys, and that wasn't happening.
Can you get something going? Is that an ulterior motive sometimes?
Rarely do I. I didn't think about that. Again, to me it was just a player safety thing, and just trying to protect my guys. Again, if I got to get tossed to get a team going, I'm in more trouble than I think we are. Yeah, we were always talking about it. We talked about it for the year, just going over the rules and what the ramifications are when you get ejected for anything, whether it's fighting, throwing at a guy, just unsportsmanlike conduct, getting tossed for arguing with an umpire like Ray did today. You got to deal with the repercussions, and I make sure they're well known what the repercussions are, so that they're aware. And obviously we just talked about it now, just going over some of the stuff. But we brought it up yesterday after the game about today, just with this things that happen. That's we just worry about us. We're not going to get into those games. We're not going to put anybody's health in jeopardy, and we're not going to put the team in jeopardy by putting it in the umpire's hands to make a decision. And if you put it in their hands and they make a bad decision, that's out of our control now. And now you have to deal with the NCAA rules of if you throw at a guy and whether you did it on purpose or not, if the umpire says you did it on purpose, it's a 4-game suspension. So, especially at this time of the year, I'm very adamant to the guys that I'll never ask somebody to hit somebody on purpose. I never expect somebody to hit anyone on purpose because I just don't want to deal with any of that stuff. But this time of year, you got to be really, really careful when you get into these types of situations that you don't put the judgment in the umpire's hands. So, we talked about that before the game. I don't think so, but obviously the umpire has to write up his report. I have to write up my report, and then let the people above us make those decisions. Most of the stuff is prolonged arguing. So there's a protocol that goes into that in terms of what determines a prolonged argument. So again, he'll have to write up his report. I'll write up my report on the ejection. And, there's probably video of it, I'm sure. So I'm sure that'll be involved and turned in, and then obviously the head of umpires will have to make that decision. So good. We just got to continue and get better. Obviously. He needs to make strides, and there's been some small steps forward, some small steps back. So it'll just be interesting tomorrow to hopefully go out there and put together a better start than he did last week. I don't need it to be a 9-inning shutout, but I'd like to see some growth in terms of the last couple of weeks and just continue to get the feel back and continue to work and just compete. But as long as he goes out and does what he did last week in terms of just whatever he has, just go out there and give us his best shot and give us as many innings as he possibly can. That's obviously the most important thing.